there's nothing wrong with your child. The mother takes Jean to a dance school, and Jean comes back after the first day and says, they're all like me. They have to move to think. Jean ends up being the creator of Cats. She ends up being the creator of Phantom of the Opera, opening up her own school, and being a multi-millionaire. Now today, Jean would have been put on ADD medication, told to calm down, told that if she doesn't get her act together, she's going to be in big, big trouble. So what we're missing today is that ability of that psychologist to take the 2 minutes to see what is really going on with this child. What's the child's real talent? And not immediately make the child wrong. Maybe we could have more genes that way. I want you to close your eyes for 1 second so you can visualize what we're doing to our children. You see a child before you, male or female. You take away their gym class, or you make it at least once a week. You take away recess, because there's no time. We have to cram in more and more during the day. There is no dance classes. Your parents would have to pay that on their own and take you after school. So therefore, see the child's legs disappear. See the child no longer being able to live in an interactive environment. Now we go up to the torso. You're taking away music, we can't afford it. Their hands are gone, you're taking away art. Their eyes are gone. So now you're moving up to the head. And you see 2 parts of the brain. And what's happening now is that you're telling the child, well, you know, if you become an artist, you're not going to make any money. If you become a sports player, you know, very little people get in there. You're going to, you know, become a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant. So now you're taking away even the right side of that child's brain. So now what we have is this little person walking around with one side of their head. So you could open your eyes now and think of your college professor or school teacher. And this is what we're trying to create. We're trying to create a factory of professors. People that walk around with a head. One side of their brain. And that's all their body is being used for, to carry around this brain. This is what we're producing. We're not saying that intelligence is diverse. Michael Jordan, his intelligence is labeled as physical. That's actually a type of intelligence. I finally understood what my intelligence was, and it's spiritual. Actually, that is a type of intelligence. And when I saw that, I read the description, I was like, it's my intelligence. Someone like Lisa Bellini was saying, extremely sensitive. Ability to pick up on things that other people are not able to pick up on. Ability to tune into something sacred underlying all of life that other people don't normally pick up on. I can't slam dunk like Michael Jordan. That's not my intelligence, but that's his. So being able to be in a school where people's diverse talents are being able to dynamically be taken care of. And this is being done already. It's just that these schools are extremely expensive, and they're not open to the public, therefore. Another underlying thing is, that's a huge myth, but it's also burdening all of us, not just our children, is that the myth that scientists are not creative and that artists are not analytical. So what we're creating in schools is an environment where they're not understanding that actually really it isn't even a right and a left brain anymore. What we're finding out is that the brain, true intelligence is all parts of the brain being able to fire, to be able to be creative or analytical. So this underlying theme where you go into a school counselor and you're a dancer and she says, well, you do dance, you shouldn't be a doctor. or you shouldn't be a chemist. Or vice versa, if you're really good at science and what you actually want to do is dance, and your school counselor says, but you're so good at this, you can't be a dancer, that's what you're meant to do. To be able, I believe, to be able to move right now, where we are actually able to deal with our problems, our energy crisis, the global warming crisis, children dropping out at an enormous rate, teachers being frustrated because they're not able to teach from their heart, they're giving a syllabus and they have to regurgitate it back to the children, is to be able to move from pure data. So what we call it is academic bulimia, where I give you a piece of paper and I say, know everything. And then the next day, you give it back to me, you regurgitate it to me. But you really don't know anything. So moving from data to actual knowledge. So a history teacher, and this is what a history teacher said. She said, I'm giving this piece of paper, and the person wants me to teach them the date in the war and the people that led the war, instead of what she really wanted to do, which is what we badly need right now, is why did the war start? How did they negotiate? How did they do it? How did they actually do it? How did they strategize? What was that like? And we're moving from an information into a knowledge age, and to actually be able to move into the knowledge age, it has to move away just from pure data into knowing how to do things, into knowing how to go through procedures for different things. That way we move from the academic bulimia into a wisdom age, which is what we're all dreaming of. Energy right now is just an idea. Do our children know how to put together a windmill, or how that even works, or how does solar work? They don't. It's just an idea. It's just data that they take in, regurgitate it. What I've seen really work in alternative schools, and what I've seen with the children, that I'm not a teacher, but I've been a counselor, and I've worked with many autistic children that actually weren't autistic at all, but were labeled autistic, is that they moved from being almost this close to being juvenile delinquents, this close to being in prison, to somehow miraculously being able to be accepted into a program where they felt comfortable. Can you believe that? That's the reason that they're doing well. They actually feel, for the first time in their life, these children feel comfortable where they are. They feel like they're being seen for themselves. I worked with a child that was labeled autistic. I looked at this child, I spent a day with him, and I said, he's not autistic. And he felt that from me. He felt that I wasn't treating him any differently. He felt that I saw him for who he was. And that was a huge shift within this child. It really created a huge healing in him when he hears his mother, his teacher, his psychologist all looking at him, well, you're doing that because you're autistic. He was actually doing it because nobody was paying any attention to him. These children, believe it or not, also want to feel accountable. They want you to hold them responsible for what they say they're going to do. That is very empowering to them, and that was actually strange for me to hear, because you would think these children would not want to do anything.